Hey everybody, this is Drumjitsu with another knife review, and I am very lucky to have here today in my possession a cold steel Tai-Pan dagger. And this knife does not belong to me, it belongs to a friend of mine. His name is Steve Outlaw, and he has loaned me this dagger so that I could do a review on it. And it's not very often that we as consumers get to hold a piece like this in our hands, so I kind of want to talk a little bit about it and give a little information on it and my thoughts and opinions on it. After holding it in my hand, maybe I can share some ideas, and so if anyone is interested in adding this blade to their collection, they'll be better equipped with some information. Most of the information that I did find on the internet on this knife, most of the reviews that I saw were advertisements produced by Cold Steel. And you know, sometimes you can't always count on getting 100% accurate information as a consumer. I mean, their objective is to sell knives, so they want to kind of glamorize this blade and glorify this blade, and they want to sell knives. So I just kind of want to give some information and give my thoughts and opinions on it, and maybe it will help the consumer make a more educated decision if they decide to throw down some money on this knife. There are some big bucks involved. This knife goes for about $200 to $250, sometimes more. You might get lucky and find it for under 200 bucks. If you do, consider it a steal. It was designed by Lynn C. Thompson. He's the owner of Cold Steel Knives. It's got a double hollow ground blade. There we can see the center and the double hollow ground. Same on both sides. A sturdy spear point, which is wide and thick enough to resist breaking without compromising its ability. Now, this is the information given by Cold Steel on this knife. It's got a tapered black craton handle with a unique flattened oval cross section. Yes, that is true. The handle is oval shaped, and it does have this craton covering over it. It's very, very nice, very grippy. Oh, it feels good. It's a pleasure to hold. This is a fantastic knife. I love daggers anyway, and love knives. And this is marketed as a fighting knife, by the way. So, it says the material and the handle shape have proven ideal at preventing the knife from shifting or turning in the hand, even under the worst circumstances. So, I guess they're trying to tell you if you're in a knife fight, this knife will not turn around in your hand. And I do believe that. It is a fantastic grip. So grip is outstanding. Definitely. Snug in the hand. I personally own a dagger. The Luftwaffe dagger. I got another video on that. If you haven't seen it, check it out. The Luftwaffe dagger has a round handle. Of course, it's not a combat knife. So this is marketed as a combat knife. Very nice handle. Excellent for a sturdy grip. It says the Tai-Pan embodies all the best features of a classic dagger while minimizing its shortcomings. Most daggers are notoriously thin and they have easily broken points. So this has got a very beefy, thick point. Ooh, sharp too. And it's not thin by any means. I mean, it's a beefy, nice, thick blade. They also claim that the razor-sharp twin edges offer twice the potential cuts, slashes, and locks of a single-edged knife. When used with skill, the Tai-Pan can cut a 180-degree arc up or down or from side to side with devastating effect, with the balance point just behind the guard. So, yes, the balance point is just behind the guard. What they say, the claim that they make on that is true. Man, that tip is very fast. You can move that tip around quickly. Very nice balance, very comfortable. So that claim is indeed true. It has a subtle handle heavy feel, making it ideal for insertions, yet remaining lively in the hand. Yes, Those claims are correct just by holding it in my hand. It weighs about 10.8 ounces. It has a blade thickness of 3/16 of an inch. Blade length is 7.5 inches long. Plenty of reach on that. The handle is 5.5 inches long. And this is referred to as the Zuba. This oval shaped round guard at the end of the grip, commonly used on Japanese weapons. This particular design is a Japanese design called the Zuba. And the bolster, which is a thick metal portion of the knife joining the handle and the blade, they are made out of all this material right here. And this is 300 series stainless steel. It's a full tang construction, and it has this semi-pointed pommel, and the claim here is to maximize the effect of even the slightest blow. Yes, definitely intended to be used as an impact weapon, and of course there's a killer lanyard hole there. So I do believe the claims that they make in the video are to be true just by holding this knife in my hand. Now, of course, I've not field tested it. I'm not a knife fighter by any means, but I would feel very confident having this blade in my hand if I had to defend my life. I would most assuredly want this blade. If this is what I had and I was in a self-defense situation, I would feel pretty confident. So I would support the claims that they have made so far. There are two versions of this knife. An older production model had an AUS 8 blade. The blade was made out of AUS 8 steel. That's somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 years ago. The newer models are what they call VG1 Sanmai. And it took me a while. I had to do a little bit of research to figure out exactly what that was. And there are probably some of you guys out there that don't know what Sanmai is. It's actually a metal sandwich. Sanmai. The whole blade is not VG1. So that's kind of misleading, and I think that's misleading from a marketing perspective. It says a simple way to think of Sanmai 3 blade construction is to imagine a sandwich. The meat center is a hard high carbon steel, and the pieces of bread on either side are a lower carbon. The edge of the blade should be hard to maximize edge holding ability, but if the entire blade was hard, it could be damaged during the rigors of battle. For ultimate toughness, the body of the blade must be able to withstand impact and lateral stresses. Toughness is generally associated with softness and flexibility in steel, so that, surprisingly, if the blade were made tough, the edges wouldn't be hard enough to offer superior edge holding. So Sanmai 3 blades provide a blade with a hard, high-carbon steel in the middle for a keen, long-lasting edge, and a tougher, i.e. softer, lower-carbon steel along the sides for flexibility. So, on a VG1 Sanmai 3 blade, there's actually VG1 is the center that produces the edge, and it's sandwiched by 2 layers of a softer stainless steel on either side. Now, it's 400 series stainless steel from what I understand. That's what makes up the VG1 Sanmai. And I had a difficult time when I was doing my research. I couldn't really find, no one was really forthright as to what the outer layers were made of, what type of 400 stainless steel that they were comprised of. And just through a little bit of research, I was able to determine perhaps it might be 420J. It's a high carbon, lower end stainless steel, and it tends to be very stain resistant. And it's less expensive. And that's just an hypothesis. So if anybody has any factual proof as to what the outer plies are on a Sanmai, on a VG1 Sanmai blade, please drop me a comment on that. I would be interested to know. I did a little bit of research and could not find the answer that I was looking for. Now it says a true VG1 Sanmai blade is going to have a line here on the edge. You'll be able to determine a line, and I'm unable to find a line on this particular blade. which leads me to believe that perhaps it is Aus 8 instead of the more current VG1 San Mai. I couldn't find the seam. They said you would be able to see the seams on the edge of the blade, and I can't really determine that or make that out here. And that's something that if someone's going to buy this knife and they may be purchasing it secondhand and they see it, you know, they're getting a good deal on it, that's something that they need to consider. It's a good idea to be able to identify that blade as being Aus 8 or VG1 San Mai. Of course, the VG1 San Mai would be considered to be superior. The Cold Steel warranty, they warranty their knives 100% warranty. The Fix the Blade sheath knives have a 5-year warranty to the original owner against defects in materials or craftsmanship. I already mentioned you can probably pick this one up for somewhere in the neighborhood of $200 to $250 with an Aus 8 model, most likely lower. I love this knife. It's a fantastic knife, a great addition to any collection. I would think that the claims made on the Cold Steel website would be accurate just by, you know, it's hard to tell just if you haven't held the knife in your hand. But just by being a Dagger enthusiast and holding this knife in my hand, I do believe the things that they said are in fact true. One other thing, the only problem I have with this knife will be the sheath. Now, it is a fantastic sheath. It's an outstanding sheath. The quality is 110%. Made very well. Black leather. The stitching is absolutely flawless. It's beautiful here on the sides. On the back it's stamped Japan. So as far as leather sheaths go, man, this is top-notch A+. And I'm kind of picky about my leather sheaths. And I think this is a fantastic one. The only problem I have is the belt loop. It only gives you about an inch, maybe an inch and a half clearance there. So, you know, that kind of limits your options. And there's no other mounting options on this particular sheath. I mean, on a fighting knife, I'm going to want maybe slap a tech lock on it, or I'm going to want multiple options on a fighting knife. So as a complete fighting package, the sheath doesn't really seem overly practical if this was designed to be a fighting knife. This is not a camping knife or a hunting knife. You know, you couldn't really baton wood with it. And it's pretty much a fighting knife. And I did read reports of several chefs loving this knife because it's got the two blades, and they grind the blades to 2 different edges to cut different foods with. Very efficient knife in the kitchen, believe it or not. So chefs are using this knife, not really knife fighters. So that's another marketing ploy. You know, what is the practical application of this knife? That's the only problem that I would have with dropping, you know, $200+ on a knife, is it's not really a complete fighting system. It's not really a practical fighting system. The knife is spectacular, and to a collector, fantastic. But, you know, as far as a multi-purpose fighting knife, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Drumjitsu out. Knife into a